Do you need a financial advisor? Are you losing money because you use a financial advisor? What are situations where using a financial advisor makes sense? Are there alternatives to the old traditional way of having your money invested? Those are questions I hope to help you answer today, or at least to give you food for thought. Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money, where I share about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence. A quick disclaimer before we dive into the topic, just to say that I am not a financial advisor, and before you make any decisions with your money, you should consult a professional or do your own research. Okay, so today I want to talk about the pros and cons of using financial advisors. I'll share some of my story with you, tell you a cautionary tale from a friend of mine, and give you some resources to look into in hopes of helping to equip you to make smart financial decisions that will lead to you having more money in retirement or maybe even an earlier retirement. If learning about the stock market feels intimidating to you, you are not alone. If investing money on your own feels overwhelming, trust me, you are not the first person to feel that way. But I have good news. Learning about investing is not rocket science, and I want to give you a hard truth here as well. Even if you do decide to trust all of your financial investments to another person to manage, you should still know how it works and what is going on. This is paramount. No one, not one single person in this world, will care for your money like you do. It is your responsibility to know what is happening with your money, and there shouldn't be any excuses. So that's something I want each person to make a commitment to. Regardless of where you land on using a financial advisor, promise yourself that you're going to educate yourself on what is happening with your investments. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk for a minute about the traditional way that people like my parents would have invested in the stock market 30 or 40 years ago. Well, you'd need a stockbroker or a financial advisor. You might ask how a financial advisor or a stockbroker makes their money. Generally speaking, they will get a small percentage of the portfolio that they manage for you, regardless of whether it gains or loses money. This is usually around 0.5% to 1%. And this is where people tend to overlook something big. A small percentage, when compounded with time, can turn out to be a massive amount of money. Let's look at two examples. We're going to look at two different portfolios, person A and person B. These two people will have the exact same scenario with only one differing factor. They will both start investing with $100,000. They will both add $10,000 per year to their investments, and they will both invest for 40 years. They will also both earn an average of a 10% return over those 40 years. The only difference is that person A is investing in the S&P 500 and paying a 0.02% management fee on that index fund. If you're not familiar with the S&P 500, it's a fund that basically keeps all of your investments in whatever the top 500 companies are in the US. And person B has hired a financial advisor that is receiving a 1% fee for the management of their portfolio. So remember, the only difference in these two stories is that one person is paying a 0.02% fee and the other person is paying a 1% fee. Let's look at the difference that tiny little 1% can make. At the end of 40 years, person A would have $8,811,004. At the end of that same 40 years, person B would have $6,823,861. The difference between those two is $1,987,143, or basically $2 million in difference. So if you take that $2 million and divide it by 40 years, person B is basically paying that financial advisor over $49,000 per year just so they can end up with less money. Now, you might ask, what if my financial advisor brings in better returns than the S&P 500? And I'm so glad you asked. We should ask that question. And here's the answer. Less than 10% of financial advisors who are actively managing investment funds have outperformed the market. It's estimated to be close to 5 or 6% of financial advisors who actually beat the market. So if I line up 100 financial advisors, what are the chances that you're going to pick one of the 5 or 6 of them that is actually going to bring in a better percentage rate? And just in case that didn't seal the deal for you, and you're a bit of a gambler, and you're just sure that your money guy is going to win the day for you, I've got a little more food for thought. Those 5 or 6 financial advisors out of the 100, they know they're good. And that's assuming they weren't just lucky one year. And who do you think gets to invest with those really good financial advisors? Well, if you were a really good financial advisor in demand and you're getting a cut of the portfolios that you manage, well, don't you think that you'd only be taking clients with the biggest portfolios? So often, these top of the line financial advisors have a minimum investment amount. That might be $1 million or some other large number that the average person wouldn't have to begin investing. So all of this to say that I don't personally believe that investing with a financial advisor in the traditional way that you pay them a percentage of your total portfolio is probably best. But before you think I'm throwing all financial advisors under the bus, stick around because I actually use a financial advisor for certain things. It's just not in the traditional sense. So what I'm not saying is that you should just take all of your investment money and throw it into the S&P 500. I do still think that would probably be better than investing with a financial advisor, but there are a few things that you'll need to keep in mind as you decide how to structure your investments. One thing a financial advisor often helps with is identifying the risk tolerance of their clients. Often, younger people can take a more risky approach to investing because they have time on their side for a rebound if there is a big crash, for example. Whereas a person near retirement may have a much lower tolerance for risk because they are about to begin drawing from their investments in retirement. Not all investments are in stocks. Some may be in bonds, some may be in real estate, and so on. Some types of investments are more safe than others, and a financial advisor often helps to diversify your portfolio in a way that honors your risk tolerance. Do you need a financial advisor for this? No. Can you determine your risk tolerance and learn about where to invest based on that tolerance level? Yes. Is it as easy as just throwing all of your money into the S&P 500? No, but it's also not as difficult as it sounds. We're so fortunate to live in a time when we have access to a variety of tools and resources. There are now online tools for helping you to determine your risk profile and then suggesting the best funds for your investments. It really is just a game of simple math, and some helpful people out there have built the online calculators that will help do the math for you. Another area that is important for you to learn about as you decide where to invest your money is the types of investment accounts that you open. The good news is that for most investment accounts, it's as easy as opening an online checking or savings account. You can do it right from your phone and be investing in no time. On top of that, it's easy to set up everything to be automatic. So, for example, if you wanted to invest $500 in the S&P 500, you could set up an automatic transfer that goes from your checking account to the investment account every month. And you can also set up an automatic purchase of that index fund every month. So you literally wouldn't have to ever look at it after you set it up. It would just happen automatically. But there are different types of investment accounts. Through your work, you may have a 401k or other similar options, but for an investing account that you open from your phone, it's important to understand the difference between an IRA and a Roth IRA, which are both retirement accounts, or a regular brokerage account. The biggest differences in these types of accounts are that some have bigger tax advantages than others, where other accounts may have more flexibility when you need the money. I'm not going to get into the differences between those in this video, but if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to make a video about that too. In a second, I'm going to get into some other ways to use financial advisors, but I hope what you've taken away from this so far is that the world of investing your own money does not have to be scary, and even if it does feel a bit scary at first, you can do it. I'm going to do my best to give you the resources in the description to start taking those first steps in your financial education. You just learn a little bit at a time, and before you know it, you've really got a handle on how it works. I feel like I've got a really solid understanding at this point, but I didn't 10 years ago, and I'm still learning. I just want to encourage you to be in charge of your financial future. Okay, so I also want to give you a little cautionary tale about different ways financial advisors may be taking money off the top. A friend of mine had a financial advisor who initially set her account up incorrectly, and for years it wasn't earning what it should have been for her. Then the friend of hers who set it up left the company, and another person from that company began to manage her portfolio. Because they had mismanaged her funds for so long, and she mentioned wanting to manage the funds herself, the advisor told her that they would manage her funds for free, no longer charging her a fee for their services. I found that to be odd, unless they were just trying to keep a total amount of portfolios that they manage. But what we learned later was that when she recently made a deposit, they purchased funds that carry a load. I had never heard of this before, but basically let's say that a fund was selling at $100 per share. Well, a fund like that might carry a 5% load. What that means is that if they bought her this fund that was $100 per share, they were actually using her money to pay $105 per share. And then her financial advisor ends up getting a cut of that $5 per share. So even though they were not charging her a direct fee, these funds they purchased on her behalf were giving them a cut. Now, I'm not saying it's bad for financial advisors to make money one way or another, but this just didn't feel transparent to me at all, and a bit of a sneaky way to earn funds that most people looking at a report may not know to look for. Okay, so at this point, you might be wondering why I said that I have a financial advisor. Over the last few years, I have rapidly been building my assets and retirement funds. I have been learning a lot, and I'm really confident about a lot in this space. I even do financial coaching, which is not the same as being a financial advisor, but I help people with budgeting, building a plan, and finding creative solutions to work toward early retirement, or just retirement in general. I really nerd out on this stuff, but I also wanted someone to look over my plans and just give me a thumbs up. I also wanted to learn about what I needed to do to protect all of my assets and make things easy for my friends and family if something were to happen to me. I had just never heard of anything other than a typical financial advisor who manages your portfolio and takes a cut of it. I was watching a YouTube video a while back and learned about this guy who started a company to connect people with financial advisors who do things a bit differently. Rather than managing your portfolio, you can hire someone for an hour of their time. The prices seem to range between $150 and $250 for an hour. The cool thing is that you're able to sort by what you're looking for. I was specifically looking for someone who could help me in the area of early retirement and who is knowledgeable about estate planning. There were so many options to choose from. There are financial advisors who can help with faith-based investing, Roth conversions, investing for kids, LGBTQ, military members, and so many other options that you can use to narrow down who would be right for you. This was perfect for me. I read the overview of the investors it narrowed down for me and also read the reviews about working with them. It was just such an easy process. I booked my appointment, prepared my questions, and it was some of the best $150 I've ever spent. One, it was really awesome to hear that I'm doing well with my planning and investments. But I also learned some things that I wasn't aware of, and that's really where I felt I got my money's worth. Not only that, but when the call was over, the next day my advisor sent me a very long and detailed email with next steps, resources, and even the full video recording of our meeting so that I could reference it if needed. I kind of wondered if there was going to be an upsell or if he was going to try to convince me that I needed to meet with him every month, but it wasn't like that at all. He was like, cool, if you want to book another session in a year to review things, let me know. Simple, no fuss. Excellent solution. I learned a lot about estate planning and now have a path forward for putting my assets in a trust. I feel great about the path I was on and even better about my path going forward. Personally, I think using a financial advisor in that way can be really valuable. Now, you might not want to spend $150 to meet with someone. Generally speaking, most of what I learned from him, I probably could have put together myself over time by watching a whole lot of YouTube videos and reading articles. But for me, this path was definitely worth the time savings, and I left feeling a lot more confident about my financial future, or the future of my assets when I'm gone. I was also able to connect him with a friend of mine who booked a session, and he literally walked her step by step to open an investment account. This is something she could have done on her own, but she really just wanted to feel confident that it was being done right after what happened to her the last time. So if you are one of those people who wants to get started but needs a helping hand, I think this could be a good solution for that too. If you want to learn something from your advisor, this is a way to have them teach you instead of making you feel like you just need to trust them. It's a game changer, and I couldn't be happier. I think there are a couple of companies that offer advisors like this now, but if you want to check out the company I used, I've got a referral link in the description. What do you think? Have you had good or bad experiences with financial advisors? Let's chat about it in the comments. Do me a big favor. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join me every day, where travel and adventure build financial freedom. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.